I'm sorry. Maybe get some compassion. I don't know.
Get
But
some compassion. That's a t-shirt right there.
welcome to the Weekly Fix podcast, where we're just two friends talking about our passions within movies, TV shows, gaming, and comics. Thanks for checking out the podcast. We hope you like it. Hello and welcome back to Weekly Fix. I know it's been a minute, but we are so thrilled to have you. I'm Zane. Joined with me as always is Jacob, and we have another rundown for you. We missed June, most of June, and that was because of scheduling conflicts and a death in the family. So we do apologize for the misses, but I do hope that you do understand that sometimes it just works out like that. So we couldn't really help it this time. But we are so happy to be back. Jacob, have you enjoyed these last 2 weeks that you've had off?
Yeah, man, it's been a nice little break from the podcast, even though I love doing it. Sometimes with us doing it on Mondays, you're back in the work week, back in the swing of things. You can be a little bit tired. So these last couple weeks having Mondays off has been nice. But nonetheless, I am super excited to get back in here and talk about some of this stuff coming up.
Yeah, it has not been a super enjoyable last 2 weeks for me. With my grandfather passing away, he was 91. So that's, he had an amazing life, and we know where he's at currently, because he did have his life completely and totally dedicated to the Lord, which is awesome. And, we have a hope that we will see him again, and that's a real joy and a pleasure for him, and to know where he's at, and that's awesome. It does still suck to not have him here, and to be with his presence anymore. But what a joy that we'll get to meet him again one day. And so, yeah, not the best 2 weeks, but I did get to see a lot of family, which was great, and be in West Virginia for a little bit. So there's always such a sweet time when you get to rejoin with family members, especially those you haven't seen in a while. And even though it's a terrible reason to be coming together, it still got it has some very sweet moments sprinkled throughout. So
Yeah, for sure. It's always kind of like sad when you think about like the only time sometimes everybody does get together is around these situations, but there really isn't a better time to have everybody come together. So while I get like it's fun that everyone is together, it does still stink for the reasoning.
yeah, for sure. But anyway, because we've been busy, and there's been so much going on, I actually have not had the opportunity to like sit down and watch too much stuff over the past few weeks. I did have a few days alone, so I was trying to pick up some stuff that I haven't been watching with my wife. So I actually did finish Wednesday. I know I mentioned that to you, and you said that you haven't had any desire to watch Wednesday. It was guilty pleasure kind of show, I guess, but it was done well for what it was. So, but have you had the opportunity to watch anything in this short little break that we had?
No, I've been taking advantage of just really having like a little bit of lull in content before like the summer blockbuster movies start coming out. I've not been watching anything. Been reading a lot of comics and stuff like that, but not keeping up with any shows or new releases or anything like that.
Yeah, I was really hoping to get out to the theater and watch the new How to Train Your Dragon remake, or maybe the new Elio Pixar movie, which I've heard both of those are pretty good. Super solid How to Train Your Dragon shot for shot remake. How you're supposed to do live action is what everyone's been saying. I can't give my input for that because I haven't seen it. And then Elio, I've heard it swings for the fences, and it's just okay. Like it's a good Pixar movie, but it's nothing special. So that's kind of what I've been hearing through the grapevine for those two. But I can't give you my review because I haven't had the opportunity to get out and watch it. But we have a bunch of movies coming up that we will be getting out to watch. So those I'm very excited about.
Yeah, we're about to kick off the summer blockbuster. I mean, we're what like 3 weeks away, maybe 2ish weeks away by now
I
for Superman.
2 weeks away from Superman, but this upcoming week we have probably what could be the sleeper big hit of the summer. With everyone that I know have seen it, they have adored this movie and said it is just absolutely incredible. Back to the theater fun, and really what a movie should be for a summer blockbuster, and that's the F1 movie starring Brad
Mhm.
Pitt. I've heard only good things about this. That comes out this Friday, June 27th. Jacob, are you going to go watch this?
I'm going to try to. It's not something I currently have on my calendar, and I'm not going to kill myself to get to the theater over it. I am super excited for it, though. I am a big F1 fan. I watch just about every race, almost every week, and then when they have the breaks, I obviously don't watch them. But no, I love the F1 stuff. This would be like the prime time movie to go see in the movie theaters. But just with stuff's been so busy, I don't really have it planned right now. But it might be something I could sneak in if I have the opportunity.
Yeah, I definitely am going to get out to the theater and watch that. If not this week, definitely in the upcoming weeks. I was hoping to go see this with my brother. He said we may be able to snag some 4D tickets, which I think would be an interesting movie to have for my first 4D experience. I'm not really into that at all. I like more of the IMAX 2D. That's kind of my go-to, but I know that he's kind of a fan of those and said that somebody could snag them for him. So we'll see if he can get me some. Then we'll be joining him. If not, then we'll probably be going at a later date. But I'm definitely going to check this out. Being a car guy and a Brad Pitt fan, and that the raves, this is directed by the same person who did Top Gun Maverick, which is one of my favorite movies of the past 5 years. I think that one's phenomenal and an incredible theater watch. And I think this is going to be the exact same. I think this could be a real sleeper of a movie.
I think it's got all the makings for a good movie. You got the big name. You have a sport that is like really, really popular right now. F1's kind of exploded ever since they did the Drive to Survive series over on Netflix. So I know a lot of people will be interested in seeing that just because they enjoyed that series over on Netflix. I know my wife has actually really gotten into F1 because of that series as well. So I think there's going to be a lot of people that will come together for this type of movie because it is a step away from like what a lot of people kind of drag their significant other to the theaters for. I know my wife always jokes about, when are we going to go see a movie that's not like Marvel or something like that? So this would be a movie she would super be interested in just for the fact it's not that. And with her being an F1 fan, that just makes it even better.
Yeah, and the fact that she is an F1 fan is pretty cool. I know my brother's a big F1 fan. I really can't get into it just because uh, I don't really know why I can't get into it. A lot of it's like just the money behind it, and then like you'll never be able to go watch a race because it's just like a rich person sport at this point. And so that always has like a little bit of a struggle for me. In getting into something, I like to be able to go watch it or feel like I'm a part of the event, and I feel like it's just like an exclusive club at this point. But yeah, no, I still love racing. I love watching the highlights. I love seeing it. So I think this movie is going to hit all the right spots for me.
Well, luckily, I think for me, a good thing is I don't think I'd ever want to go watch an F1 race in person unless I had like all the exclusive access to like get in the pit lanes and all that stuff. Because I have heard from so many people, like if you don't have all the good access to it, just sitting there in the sun is not an enjoyable time. So if that's what's swaying you away from it, maybe it's not something you even necessarily need to worry about. Because I've heard it's not the most fun experience.
Oh man, well, to be honest, the guy that I know goes to it gets pretty good stuff. But he says it's an event that needs to be gone to. But I understand that. Now, F1's got some pretty tough competition this weekend with another massive movie coming up that's going to steal a lot of its box office, and that's Megan 2.0. Jacob, are you excited about Megan 2.0?
No, I don't. I didn't even know this was a thing. I remember the first one like super, like barely. And I think I was watching maybe a YouTube video the other night and I saw this come up on my screen. I was like, who even wanted a second one of these? Like, this just looks terrible. But I know there's probably a fan base out there that loves this type of stuff. Obviously, it's getting a second one. So the first one must have performed good enough to warrant this one. But no, this is one I will definitely not be going to the theaters for.
Yeah, likewise. That was a little bit of a joke, if you guys didn't know. But no, this is also a swing and a big old miss for me. A little Terminator-esque girl robot. I don't know. Seems like an odd play. But we'll see how it does. Who knows? Jacob, speaking of box office, because this, Megan's gonna affect F1 so much. Let's do you have a prediction on how much F1's gonna bring in?
I could see this one getting like a nice $300 to $400 million range. I would see the top end of it being over 5. Like if everybody actually does come together, if the reviews can get people to the theaters, like with what we've seen be possible, we know that can have like a big influence. Maybe they pay the right content creators out there to make a short or a YouTube video about it. I could definitely see this one pushing over that 500 million mark, but I would say it's like a safe 3 to 400 million.
3 to 400. I think that's reasonable. Unfortunately, the upcoming weeks are just so competition heavy. I can't see this one having legs because it's just competition after competition.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think this is going to bring in 600.
Okay.
I think 600 is probably where this is going to be. I think it's got enough of a fan base and then wide enough appeal that this is definitely going to bring in. I think this is really going to be the opening kickoff to the summer box office. I know that How to Train Your Dragon did pretty well. Lilo and Stitch did pretty good. The Thunderbolts did horrible. So we'll see what the summer's looking like. I think this will be like the litmus test to kind of see where we're at going into this stretch. But yeah, I think this is going to do 600. I think it's going to be a big summer.
See, I used to always like think high on movies like this, but ever since I saw like it's not necessarily a poor box office, but relatively compared to the movie, when I saw as bad as Dune 2 did box office wise, I've always been so reserved with like these type of movies that come out that like aren't the Marvels, that aren't the Star Warses of the world, because it really is just so hard to get people into theaters nowadays with everyone just being willing to wait for streaming and stuff like that. So that's why I'm always a little bit more reserved on mine. Is really just that movie in particular. After I saw it didn't break $1 billion and really didn't even get close necessarily, I was like, yeah, maybe I need to start thinking a little bit harder about my box office predictions.
Didn't it get like 800 million?
I think it capped out right around 700.
700,
So,
which I mean is still a very impressive.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Office.
Still solid, still super good, but like that's like some people's like greatest movie of all time. I know I deemed it the best movie experience I've ever had in the theaters, and just the fact that a movie like that doesn't get to $1 billion, doesn't get to 800 or whatever it did get to, I've always been like, yeah, maybe it's a little harder for movies to get these high numbers as I thought it was. And that's when I started really realizing, like, man, when these movies do crack $1 billion, that's really impressive.
Yeah, and then Deadpool versus Wolverine does break $1 billion, and you're like, it's not worth it.
Yeah, that's why I've always been like, if it's not like a big name Marvel movie, it's hard for me to like really be like, oh, this is the one. Yeah, but I hope I'm wrong with this one.
I mean, that does make sense. I don't disagree at all. But I still think it's going to make 600. I just think I think it's got too much general appeal to not do well. And that's kind of what I'm thinking. Then so following it, and this is why I do think it's not going to broach $1 billion. If this didn't have any competition, I'd say this is $1 billion movie. But the next weekend, the biggest movie in all of like the slate, everyone wants the July 4th weekend. That's the biggest movie weekend of the year, essentially, and that is Jurassic World Rebirth. The soft reboot of the Jurassic World series, starring Scarlett Johansson, Jonathan Bailey, and Mahershala Ali. What do you think of this movie? Are you excited for a Jurassic World? Did you like the previous ones? Is this something that's going to get your money?
Yeah, no, I always like the Jurassic Park World movies. I think they're really fun. I do think this one will have a better box office than F1 will. This is a movie I could see getting 600-700 million because it's the Jurassic Park name. I mean, it just holds so much weight, and I never really realized that until like the last few years. And I see how many people like love the merchandise for Jurassic Park and all that type of stuff. So this is the movie I think is going to have a really solid box office.
That's funny. I think the Jurassic World name used to have weight. But I hated the last two. I actually don't even think I'll watch the last one because the one previous was so poor, in my opinion. So I don't know. I think this one has a lot of appeal, kind of like Godzilla versus Kong, but I kind of put this in the same genre as that now. I think the first Jurassic Park is a world-class must-watch movie. Anything after that, I think is lesser than. And I think it's just gone downhill a little bit. But this one does look like a fun movie theater experience. So I can't hate on it. But I don't know. I don't really know if it's going to swing for the fences like they used to.
Yeah, I feel like I liked the first like Jurassic World that we got, like the first Chris Pratt movie. I really did enjoy that one a lot. The second one, I agree, it kind of loses its steam a little bit. It almost felt like a money grab. This one, I like the fact that they're like giving it a little bit of a soft reboot. We're getting some new actors, some new characters, so I think it's going to have a lot of people excited to kind of get back into that world.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense. I don't know if it's gonna have that.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see. We'll see. Now the next one, I think this is your most anticipated movie of the entire year. 7-Eleven Superman comes out.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Is this your pick for the year?
Yeah, I go back and forth on this one because I've started to get really hyped about Fantastic Four with some of the teasers we're getting, some of the trailers we've gotten. I just think that movie is going to actually be really good, but it just hasn't been able to pass up Superman in just sheer excitement for a movie. I mean, we haven't had a Superman movie on the big screens for a little while now. This is really the kickoff of the DC universe. We've had some little stuff here and there with stuff like Creature Commandos, and I think they said Peacemaker season 1 and season 2 is coming. Or season 2 out? Is it season 3 that's coming out? I don't ever remember.
No, season 2 comes out in
Okay.
August.
Okay, so season 1, like, there's parts of the DC universe that are kind of in swing, but like, this is the big one. This is the one that's going to really set us off, get us on track. So no, I'm pumped for this one. I think this is going to be the biggest movie of the year. Potentially, I know Avatar is looming there, and I always forget it comes out in like, is it December or something like that? We have like a late end of the year little surge there. But I think this is the movie of the year. I think this is the movie most people are excited for. I'm pumped for this one.
Yeah, I think that it's gonna be Avatar. And the reason I think that is because this movie has so much competition, and Avatar has essentially none. So when you have something like this that comes out, it's got the Jurassic World that drops the week before it. It's got F1 that's still going to be in theaters, and then 2 weeks later, Fantastic Four drops. I just think it's going to have too much competition to be the movie of the year. I think it's going to do great, but I don't think it's going to be movie of the year. And I am very excited to hear this. I just don't know if it's going to have the juice.
Yeah, no, I get all those things. I think those are all like very valid points. But I think if anyone's picking one of these movies to go to this month, I think this is the one. Unless you're just only a Marvel fan, which there's a lot of those. So that's going to obviously pull a lot of people away. And I think those people that are only Marvel fans aren't going to go see any of the other movies anyway. So I think most people are going to be really excited for this one. I hope that's true. I think this is what the DC Universe needs. It needs a good box office to really get things rolling, to get people excited. So I hope it's not just my sheer excitement, talking right here. But I think this one has just so much potential. I hear so many people talking so highly of it, so excited for it. I've not heard as many people renting out movie theaters for any other movie as I have this one. I mean, it just seems like everybody is so pumped for it. They've done a really good job with marketing. You can actually go to the comic shop right now, and there's a new, they did a reprint of an old Crypto comic, and you can actually win a golden biscuit out of it, and you get to go to the red carpet. So people have been super excited about that. They've just done a really good job with a lot of different things for this one. So I think a lot of people are just going to be excited to kind of have DC, back on the big screens and kind of being the talk of the town.
Well, and not only is it the talk of the town, but it's got the hype with the Prime, what they've done with Prime Video, allowing people who have Prime memberships to see it early on Tuesday. That's a really big draw. That's pretty cool and a neat thing that they've done. And it's an easy win, honestly. Like, there's no reason to not do that. Movie theaters are so dry on Tuesday. They offer massive discounts. And so to bring in a fandom to a Tuesday night to see something early, I think that's really cool. I think that's unique and special. And I think that's a really good play by Superman to get a few extra bucks before the summer really splashes.
No, I think that's a super cool deal. Like, I hope more companies start to partner with other companies and do cool stuff like that. Because, I mean, it's so cool. You get to go see the movie a couple days earlier than you would normally. I mean, that's awesome. So, and it's no extra cost, same price as all the tickets would be normally. So, yeah, that's just kind of the stuff I'm talking about with, like, the marketing has been really good. I just feel like it's built a lot of really good hype.
Yeah, which is great. So, now, we talked about the competition this movie has. 7-2 Jurassic World, boom, 7-Eleven Superman, and then 7-18, one of its biggest competitors, Smurfs.
You never know,
Um,
dude. These people go crazy for Smurf stuff. I will not
dude,
be seeing this movie. It's not getting my money, but
dude,
I know
have you
there's a
seen?
good amount of people out there that will go see this movie.
I was in my research for this podcast, I was trashing all over Smurfs and like how like uh thinking it was, such a joke. And then I saw the cast and I was like, they have chucked some money at this thing. It's got Natasha Lyonne as the star, Hannah Waddingham, who is from Ted Lasso, John Goodman, Kurt Russell, Nick Offerman, Sandra Oh, Nick Kroll, Octavia Spencer, Dan Levy, and a few like James Gordon, Rihanna, Jimmy Kimmel, Marshmello. Like it has some like massive names, and I thought was hilarious because I was literally like, "Who's gonna go see the Smurfs?" And then I see the cast, and I'm like, "Well, they believe somebody's gonna go see that
Yep.
because that is quite the list."
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem movie. They had like a very similar, just absolutely star-studded voice acting cast, which it's always funny like these animated movies when they do get these people to sign on. A lot of the time, I think it's these voice actors just being excited to be a part of something they may have loved growing up. So I think that's part of it. But yeah, these movies usually like sneakily do kind of well. Obviously, I don't think this one's going to be like the big hit of the year or anything like that. But I think it will surprise some people at the box office numbers it does pull.
You think so?
I'm not going to say anything crazy. Like I would be happy if this. Well, I won't be happy because I don't care. But I can see this movie getting like if it got like 150 to 200, I'd be impressed.
150 to 200. Yeah, I think it's a really reasonable like color for it. I don't think it's going to do any better.
Yeah.
But we'll see. It might, but like we said, if we think that the competition is going to hurt Superman and
Yeah,
Fantastic
this movie is
Four,
really struggling.
yeah, this one picked a really bad time to come out. But it is avoiding all like it's hitting a genre that the others aren't. This is a kids movie, and there's really not that many kids movies coming out. The last kids movie that would have came out is How to Train Your Dragon, so it does have that space for this to succeed, which I know is funny. But I do think it will have it, and the only competition it has that weekend is I Know What You Did Last Summer. Now, that's a heavily marketed movie. I've seen so many ads for this, and I think they're just missing the mark. I'm not the general audience that I think is going to go see I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's a teenage horror stalker film. I don't know. But Jacob, is teenage horror stalkers kind of like your guilty pleasure?
No, unfortunately not. This movie is another one that's not getting my money absolutely at all. This is one of
Ah,
those movies, though, and kind of like in the same vein with Smurfs. Like these people really should have taken like a page out of like the game industry, and like when Rockstar announced that GTA 6 was getting released, and it ended up getting delayed to next year. But the amount of games that shifted and said, "All right, we're not releasing our game that same month." I think some of these movies need to kind of do a same thing. Like let's let Marvel and DC go head to head. That's kind of how it's always been. Let's let Fantastic Four and Superman go at it. That's fun, right? They shouldn't change their time of release. But some of these other movies maybe should be like, what's coming out in August?
yeah.
Like I don't know. I don't know what the thought process is trying to. And again, the people that are going to see this movie probably aren't going to go see Superman or Fantastic Four. Like, so maybe it just doesn't matter to them. But at least you have the chance of people that are going to go see those movies maybe coming to see yours if there's nothing else coming out and they just want to get a quick movie in at the theater. So I don't know. So I think there's a shift that needs to happen. Maybe not many people say this. Most people say stay away from the gaming industry because they make a lot of dumb mistakes. I think this is what a lot of people should learn from.
Yeah, no, you make a great point. And honestly, there's not really too much coming out in August. I think the only thing coming out in August is like Freakier Friday and then The Naked Gun. But
Mhm.
maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there's something else that's like really gonna rock the box office. But yeah, I think there was space to move this one, but watch us be so wrong and this one be like the top performer of the summer, outperform Fantastic Four and Superman.
I would bet a lot of money on that not happening.
I agree. Um,
But you never know. That's the funny. It could turn into a meme thing somehow, some way. Someone makes it a funny thing to go watch that movie at the theaters. Um, You never
Yeah,
know. The
yeah,
internet
kind of
is
like they
very
did with
powerful.
Minecraft.
Yeah, literally something like that. You just never
Uh,
know.
you
So
never know. Oh, that's funny. But yeah, so we got Smurfs. I know what you did last summer, coming out 7/18, and then finally our last movie that's worth talking about in July, Fantastic Four, dropping on 7/25, and this one's going to be incredible. I think that I was a little skeptical. I still think Thunderbolts is going to be a better movie, and I've seen it. We rated Thunderbolts. We gave it a 10 out of 10. I think it was phenomenal. I don't think Fantastic Four for me is going to get a 10 out of 10. I just don't. I think it's going to try to do too much. But this is still going to be an incredible film nonetheless. I'm very excited for it. Stellar cast, very important, must see Marvel. I'm excited. Jacob, I know you are. You just said that you are going back and forth between Fantastic Four and Superman. What has you so excited for Fantastic Four now that you weren't at the start of the year?
I've been pretty excited about this one the whole time, but I think the thing that's just really shifted for me is just the trailers have looked really fun. And you just kind of briefly touched on Thunderbolts and how we did rate it a 10 out of 10. I don't think necessarily that this is going to be a better movie, but what I do think this is going to be is a more fun movie. And I think it's going to be a movie that is going to have much more rewatchability than Thunderbolts had. And when I'm thinking about like, how would I rank these movies? If I'm ranking them based off just like what's a better movie, I don't see this being better than Thunderbolts. But if I'm thinking about what's a more fun movie, what's a more enjoyable experience, what's going to be something that I really remember watching in the theaters, I think this is going to outdo Thunderbolts in all of those avenues. I think the cast is just absolutely star-studded. It's got a lot of heavy lifting to do, and I think it's going to be really fun to kind of see how this leads us into some of these Avengers movies coming up, into these projects that kind of have to start getting some momentum rolling. So I think it's going to have a lot of fun. I think it's going to have a lot of whoa moments in it that are just kind of like Marvel freak out moments, and I think that's what got me so excited for it. Like, I'm so pumped to see these characters on screen. I'm so excited for potentially some cameos, and usually we're kind of on the fence about cameos, but I think this movie is going to have some that we're just like, whoa, no way. And I think that's ultimately what we kind of want from Marvel movies every once in a while. Marvel does had a tendency to overdo that. But if you're going to overdo it, I think this is the movie to overdo it with. So I think all those things have kind of just got me like really on another level of excitement for this, especially here in the last couple months.
You think this is going to be cameo fest?
Maybe not necessarily like cameo fest like Deadpool and Wolverine or something like that, but I think it's going to have those cameos in it that were like, no way. Like, I cannot believe like we got to see that, even if it's just for a couple of seconds, or maybe it's leading us up into something bigger, with the Avengers movies, something along those lines. I think it's going to be one of those that we're like, elbowing each other in the theaters. Like, can you believe we just saw that? I think that's what this movie's going to have a lot of.
And we got a pretty big group going to the theater. We already have our tickets for this one.
Mm-hmm.
I think we got 10 people rocking with us.
Yep.
Is that
Yeah, I
right?
believe so.
So
Yeah, it's something along those lines.
that's pretty exciting. Just the fact of that, like we had people coming up and saying like, "Hey, we need to go see Fantastic Four together."
Yep.
Which I think speaks volumes to that, because no one did that for Thunderbolts for me.
Nope.
And not even really anyone's done that for Superman. I did have somebody today say they want to go Superman with me, which is cool because I'm super busy that weekend, so I'm going early, late on a Thursday to try to grab it opening weekend. Peyton is bailing on us again. He was like, "Hey, I want to go with you guys," and then he's like, "You know what? I'm actually gonna go Tuesday."
By myself.
Jackie's going with him.
Yeah.
But he was like, I'm going Tuesday. Screw you guys. And then,
After I invited him to go on Tuesday.
Right. Yeah, you were like, "Hey, let's go Tuesday." And he was like, "Awesome. I'll go by myself in Gainesville."
Yep. No, I won't hate on him too much. I probably would do the same thing if I had as long of a drive as he has.
Well, you kind of dipped on me.
Funny. Huh?
You kind of dipped on me on Thursday too, so.
Dude, I'm telling you, I'm not. I just get the last time we sat that close, I got a headache. So
I told you I'd do row E. I told you I'd do row E. There's only 2 taken.
Yeah, it's just it's too close. I need that, like, F row is where I'm that for that big of a screen, because we're going to like the big screen for that one, which it's so fun. Like, this is the exciting part about the movies. Like, we have just like, when's the last time we had 2 movies releasing in the same month that we're both like this amped for. I know it's been a while for me to have like 2 movies this big.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, I can't really think of the last time that this happened specifically for me. I think this is definitely the first time it's happened since we've been
Oh, for sure.
podcasting.
Oh, for sure. Yep.
But yeah, it may be the first time. But yeah, I'm super stoked to go see these two. But yeah, we'll see. All right, final prediction, putting it in the bag. Which one wins? Fantastic Four, Superman, box office fight, and then which is a better movie? Go.
I'm going to go box office Fantastic Four. I think this has $1 billion written all over it. It's just, again, they've done a really good job with the marketing, and I just praise Superman for it, but it's just Marvel, right? It's the Marvel's first family. You know how many people are so excited to have the Fantastic Four in the MCU? I know me personally, I've not really read a whole bunch of Fantastic Four. Really, my only exposure to them has been like the last movies that, well, what's that one movie? Not the last set of Fantastic Four. We don't talk about that one. But the ones
talk
before
about Fan Four.
Yeah, we don't talk about that one.
Fanfortic.
Yeah, we don't talk about that one. But the ones previously,
yeah, the
those
Jessica
are really
Biel ones.
Yes, those ones. That's really my only experience into Fantastic Four. But there's a large population of like older people, grown-ups, in their 50s that grew up with the Fantastic Four, and I hear they're excited to go see this on the movie theater. And I think that's an underrated demographic that's really going to pull a lot of numbers. It's just people trying to relive their childhood a little bit. So I don't think there's any doubt in my mind which is going to win the box office. As far as which one's a better movie, I really am kind of torn. It is James Gunn, right? He has such a great track record with these superhero movies with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's kind of gotten full control here. Where in the past he's had to play under the Russo brothers or someone like that, kind of being able to dictate what happens with his characters. This is all him, and so I think this one, Superman, could edge out the story a little bit. Mostly for some of the reasons that we've mentioned with Fantastic Four. While I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see the heavy lifting that they have to do, I think some of that is going to hurt just the pure story aspect of it, with them having to focus on getting us to a certain point, and we might not get as much time with the characters. We might not get to see them develop as well. So some of those things I think are overall what is going to hurt Fantastic Four. Again, I don't think it's going to be a bad story. I just think Superman might have the edge as far as story is concerned.
Yeah, I totally get that. I kind of have to stick with my gut here, and one of these directors is one of my favorites, and the other one is a TV director, and I say that just because, like, yeah, TV direction and movie direction are completely different, and it is an art form. You got 54 titles to your name, and 51 of them are movies. I mean, are TV shows. I just don't know. Matt Shakman, is it Shaq? I think it's Shakeman. Matt Shakeman. Nothing against him yet, but I just think that James Gunn and his track record are just going to take this. I think Superman is going to be a better movie. I think it's also going to beat it at the box office.
Okay.
I just don't think Marvel is must-watch TV yet. With how poorly the new Avengers performed, Thunderbolts, with all of the publicity that they did. Now, I understand this is going to outperform that. I don't think for a second that the Fantastic Four and the Thunderbolts are the same, because they're definitely not. I think Superman is fresh, it's new, it's James Gunn, it's Superman, DC is back. I think that one's gonna pull, and I think it's got the better run, with the legs coming at the middle of the summer. I think the hype's gonna be there first and stay a little longer. I don't know. I think Superman's got it on both fronts.
I think the only thing that could hurt Superman's box office a little bit too is you got to think a lot of these movie theaters only have like one of these really big screens, one of these really cool, awesome screens to watch it on. I do think, unfortunately, Superman's probably going to get booted out of that, theater room when Fantastic Four comes around. And I think some of those things, obviously, you still be able to see it in the other rooms. There's going to be a lot of people that would be like, I want to wait and see it on the big screen. Maybe it'll come back. Maybe it doesn't. You wait long enough and you're like, I'm just going to wait for it at streaming at this point. So I hope that's not something that does actually impact it. But that's kind of one of the thought process I've had that I could see hurting Superman a little bit. Is it's probably only going to have about a 2 week run, maybe not even a full 2 weeks in
Yeah,
that big,
in
nice theater
IMAX.
room. Yeah, so I think that could hurt it just a little bit. Now we will see. There's been a lot of theaters that do come back and they put the whatever the big movie is back on IMAX. I think we recently saw that with Sinners. Sinners was a movie that was in IMAX. It got taken out and it had such a big review. People were like, well, let's bring it back to IMAX. So Superman could do that, but it's just you're battling up against a big Marvel movie. So I think that could be one of the things that might hurt it a little bit in the box office. But like I said, I think it's really close for me. It's a hard decision as far as the box office is concerned. I just feel like Fantastic Four is going to be $1 billion movie.
All right. Well, I mean, I guess we'll see, right? We'll come back
We
and
will.
see
We will, Lord willing.
who was right. In a month we will have an answer for you guys on who. Well, actually, we won't, because Fantastic Four will just be in the start of it. But we'll see. We'll let you know who is right. If Jacob was right, I'll probably forget. If I was right, I will definitely remind you all just who had it. But yeah, that's it for our movies coming out. We do have a show coming out today. As for release, Ironheart kind of sneaking into the radar. We have a Marvel movie or Marvel show dropping today that I haven't really heard too many people talk about. But the people I have heard said it's actually better than expected. This is one that I've been excited about because I love this character. I think Riri Williams is fantastic. I loved her in Wakanda Forever. I think she was actually one of the best parts of that movie. And so I just I'm very excited for the show. I'm excited to watch all three. It's a 3-episode drop. So 3-episode drops today, 3 episodes drop next week, and it's done. So bing, bang, boom. Got it. Get it. Good. And I just think Dominique Thorne is going to kill it in this show, and I'm excited to see her character. Jacob, what do you think about Ironheart?
Well, I got a couple things to say. First off, they need to stop with this whole multi-episode release date, like day of releasing. I can't do it anymore, dude. Andor was killing me. And as much as I'm thankful that we got to watch it all as quickly as we did, imagine if we were still excited about a new Andor episode every week, right? That would be so fun. I get why they're doing it with this movie. You know, I just got done praising DC and Marvel for how well they've done marketing their 2 big movies coming out. It's clear who got the marketing budget in Marvel for this month, these next couple of months, because this movie has had close to no marketing, at least from what I've been seeing. I don't ever get ads for it. I don't ever see it when I'm scrolling on social media. I only got notified about the trailer when it dropped. You know, the trailer that dropped a few weeks ago, because I follow someone that I have notifications turned on for like other like collectible release stuff, like whenever Funko Pops or Legos and stuff drop. He also does it when a new Marvel trailer or something like that drops. So that's the only reason I even knew there was a new trailer. I think this show is going to do really, really bad. I think it's going to have really bad streams. And I think it's going to ultimately be one of those things that even if it is a great show, Marvel's going to look at it poorly. Disney's not going to think it performed well. And we just won't get any more of it. So I think I haven't heard much. I know you said some people have said it's better than expected. I just think it's going to do really, really bad. And ultimately that's bad for Marvel and, you know, us fans, because we want more of this stuff. We want better projects. So it almost feels like no matter how good the project is, even if it doesn't get those streaming views, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good show, and I think you are dead on the money. I think it is going to have terrible views. I just don't think anyone's excited for this. I think it came out way too late. It's coming out at a weird time. I think people think this is a throwaway show. It filmed years ago, and they're like, well, when does it release? What are we doing with it? And I just think people are feeling that, and they don't want to watch this. Even if it is good, I think it's going to have terrible views because Marvel, like I said, with Fantastic Four, it's just not must-watch TV right now. And it's got to get back there, and I think they're headed that way, but it's just not there yet. So we'll see. We'll see how it performs. I'm still very excited about this. I'm excited to talk about it because I love the 3-episode drop. I wish it was 2. I wish it was 2 episodes. I think that'd be a little easier for the watch. But with Andor, it was really good. I know it was tough to like kind of keep up and review it and watch it all, but it was so nice when I didn't have to wait for it to come out especially in those chunks. Like I could sit down on Sunday night and watch, 3 episodes or 2 episodes and just really enjoy it. So I'm kind of about it. And especially if this show now will not drag into the summer. It won't drag into these big blockbusters. It won't hit any of that. And so I'm excited to kind of see what it can do without that. Introduce a new cool villain, the Hood, something that was really good in What If, and I'm kind of excited to see if Marvel can do that with What If. What are they going to do with this? I think it's going to be pretty good, and I'm excited for it.
You do bring up a good point. The bright side of it dropping like that is it is going to be over quickly. So, that's part of it that makes it nice. We can get through it a little faster, and it's not something that's having to compete with other, our other viewing minutes throughout the week. So that is a good point to bring up, which sometimes it's kind of overlooked because it just feels like so much all at once. But when it's all said and done, sometimes you're like, you know what? I'm kind of glad that's over and on its way.
Well, yeah, and you think about if they would have done this with Secret Invasion, I don't think Secret Invasion would have had the detrimental terribleness to the MCU that it is. I really do think Secret Invasion was the start of the downfall for the MCU. I think that show had so many eyes, it performed so terribly, and it performed bad for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And I think because of that release schedule, the buzz that it had, there was nothing else going on, and how much they were like, this is crucial, and then it just wasn't. Yeah, I think that was the start of the downfall for the MCU and the why we're losing numbers. But who knows? But yeah, Ironheart coming out today. Check it. We will let you know if it's worth watching, and then when it's all wrapped up, we'll let you know our thoughts. But I can just let you know I'm excited for it, and I think it's worth checking out if you got nothing else to watch.
Yeah, for sure.
So next on the budget, we got 3 shows dropping this week. We got Ironheart dropping today. On Wednesday, we have The Bear season 4 starting to release. So that's a massive TV show coming back to Hulu. And then on Friday, we got one of Jacob's favorite movies or favorite TV shows, and that's Squid Game season 3. I thought that was releasing in December, but I was surprised when I was doing the research for this, and Squid Game season 3 comes out Friday. I had no clue. Are you excited for this?
Yeah, I'm excited, especially because it's like the conclusion of it. I'm happy this isn't one of those things that they're drawing out really far into like 6, 7 seasons. I think this is going to be a nice little 3-season show that we look back upon. I'm still on the fence about if it should have ever even gotten the second season because the first one was like a masterpiece. I think it was just so well executed. They did such a good job at kind of shocking the world with what it was. No one really saw it becoming the big hit that it was. It just kind of took over. So I still really enjoyed the second season, though. I'm excited for this one. I think it is a 2 part season. I think we're going to have a couple episodes and then, wait a couple weeks or something like that and get the rest of it. I'm not for sure on that. But no, I am excited for that one for sure. And The Bear, I never watched any of the other seasons, but I do know it's going to get a lot of people's attention. I know a lot of people do love it. So I think it's just good for TV when we have, these caliber of shows on for whenever you do want to watch something.
Yeah, well, we got our Star Wars actor now as Jabba the Hutt's son.
Yeah.
Big time Jeremy Allen White coming back.
He's moving on up in the world.
He's moving on up in the world. He's now in Star Wars, so he's actually a legitimate actor. That's kind of the ifto facto. If you've made it, are you in Star Wars?
Yep.
As an alien, especially as an alien, unrecognizable. That's really the key.
That really doesn't talk.
Yes, stardom. Yeah. So, can you do a Jabba the Hutt impression? I'm just curious. Because I thought about trying to do one just now, and I was like, I don't even know how I do it.
I can't even picture what he sounds like right now, to be honest with you.
Yeah, in my head, I heard Jar Jar.
Yeah, I kind of just do a Yoda, like a Jar Jar Yoda mix is what I was picturing for some reason, but I don't think that's it at all.
No, I don't either. But and then July is about as dry as the Sahara with new shows. Nothing is coming out. The only thing on the release schedule I thought was even worth talking about was Sandman, which is a DC adaptation on Netflix. The part 2 of the final season is dropping on July 24th. I haven't watched Sandman. I know everyone who did loved it and they thought it was really good. But it's just not something that's really drawn my attention. I know it's a little horror theme. Um, Jacob, have you watched The Sandman?
No, I have not.
This is a standalone adaptation too, so it's not like it's part of the a bigger DC universe or anything like that. So, um, I don't know. But everyone seems to like it. It's got a 7.7 on IMDb, which is fairly solid for a show. So, we'll see. We'll see if this is enjoyable. But it was the only thing in July that I actually thought was worth even mentioning, as far as TV shows go that's dropping for the first time.
That's because the TV shows are smarter than the movie producers, and they were like, "All right, we got Superman, Fantastic Four. We're just not going to release our show that month. People are going to be busy doing other stuff, so we'll just wait till some other time."
Well, summer is always dry for movies. I mean, for TV shows because of movies, because of
Yeah.
vacations and people going. It's a very busy time for families. So I know a lot of the times that's why there used to be like a break during the summers, for some of the weekly release shows. But who knows? But anyway, yeah, that's our rundown. Jacob, most anticipated thing coming out.
Let's go
So
Superman. Let's just write it down, chalk it up. That's it. We'll stick with Superman.
yeah, same Superman. I'm excited for Fantastic Four. It's close,
Yep.
but Superman takes it for me. Very excited. I am more excited for my theater experience with the crowd of 10, for Fantastic Four. But yeah, Superman's going to be. I think it's my most anticipated movie. So, but yeah. Do you want to talk about the Spider-Man news?
Let's get into it real quick. It's not too much to talk about, just a little bit of a little new actor that got introduced into the Spider-Man world.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a pretty big one. So the new Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Brand New Day, that's coming out in 2027 or 2027, right?
I believe so. It's right before the last Avengers movie, or the first one.
It's okay. So it's saying it's expected 2026 still.
Yeah, I think it's before is it before Doomsday? I think it's before Doomsday.
Yeah, it's supposed to release before Doomsday. I think that's a
Yeah.
good call. It got moved up. So, but it just added to its list John Bernthal, in its list of 6 official cast members, playing Frank Castle. Jacob, how are you feeling about the addition of the Punisher to a Spider-Man film?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. If you guys are familiar with, Spider-Man and Punisher's relationship, it's a really interesting one because both these guys almost stand for the same thing, but in completely different ways. So I always like their interactions in the comics and stuff like that. I think it'll bring a lot of seriousness to the Spider-Man movies, which sometimes is needed. Sometimes it doesn't all need to be, just Tom Holland having a good time, laughing and joking and stuff. And I think that's why a lot of people like No Way Home so much, is you have an actor like Willem Dafoe that brought a level of seriousness to the cast. And I feel like that's what John Bernthal is going to do, it, being the Punisher in this. I think it's going to bring a very serious tone to the movie when he's on the screen, but I think it's going to be a little, he'll crack his jokes, he'll make you smile, but at the end of the day, what he's there to do. And so I'm excited for that kind of dynamic in a Spider-Man movie because we really haven't had that in a while.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of serious themes throughout Spider-Man No Way Home. But I agree with what you're saying. Like William Dafoe really brought that seriousness to the film. And I think that John Bernthal is going to be a great addition to this film. I just love the Punisher. I love his adaptation of him. I think it's phenomenal. And so I'm excited. I'm excited for this film. I'm excited for this cast addition. There's also rumors that Mark Ruffalo is going to be in this film. That's not confirmed yet. But what we do have confirmed is Eliza Collin Zayas, who is actually also a phenomenal actress who is in The Bear, funny enough. Zendaya, Jacob, how do you say his last name? Batalon?
Yeah, I think I think it's Battleon. I might be
Batalon?
way wrong, but it might be.
I'm not.
That's what I feel like I've heard it said before.
Ned.
Ned.
And then
Soon to be Hobgoblin, but we won't talk about that yet.
Yeah, we won't say that. Spoiler alert. Then we got Tom Holland coming back, obviously, as Peter Parker, and then Sadie Sink in an unknown capacity, probably MJ. But that's just speculation. So I'm excited. I'm excited for this this announcement. I think it's great news for Spider-Man, and I'm just glad John Bernthal's getting more time on screen. He's one of my favorite actors for sure, and in his favorite role of mine. So,
I'm gonna
very
ask you
excited
a
to see this.
way too early prediction. What
Okay.
performs better in the box office? Spider-Man Brand New Day or Avengers Doomsday?
Doomsday performs better. Just
You think
because
so?
I do. I do
I
think
don't
so.
know, man. Spider-Man, he's just that household name. I feel like people that don't even care about the MCU anymore will go watch a Spider-Man movie, but they would not go watch an Avengers movie. And I think that's funny to say, like with where we're at now. I just like I
I
don't
don't
know. I
know,
feel like
man.
I'm
We
not saying
haven't
that Spider-Man will do better.
we haven't had an Avengers movie.
Yeah,
Uh,
we just had one.
uh, we haven't had a real Avengers
At
movie.
that asterisk. That's what it should have been. Instead of Thunderbolts asterisk, it should have been
Fake
the new
Avengers.
Avengers, not a real Avengers movie.
Um, funny enough, yes, I get it. But I we haven't had one, and
Yeah.
Spider-Man: No Way Home, with all of its jazz, all of its nostalgia, and its excitement, and the phenomenal movie that it was, still didn't outperform our last Avengers movies.
But
So
that is Marvel at its height. Marvel is not even close to that anymore. Like
right, but No Way
we've
Home was
come
still
quite down
hype.
the ladder. And
No,
I don't feel like
I
it wasn't
think
even
the
close to his like
no,
in game height.
no, the hype for if Andrew Garfield and Toby Maguire was in that movie was higher than anything I saw for Infinity War. Like
I don't I did not.
I couldn't get away from that junk.
Well, that's because that gets clicks. But like, what's like? People were gonna go see Endgame. They were gonna see the culmination of this this whole thing that they dedicated years
I
of their
did
life
say
to.
Infinity War, just to clarify. I don't think in-game hype gets beat by anything, but I do think that No Way Home hype was more than Infinity War hype.
I don't know. I feel like Infinity War is pretty hype. I remember being real
I
excited for that
agree.
one.
I agree. It was super hype, but I think
But I
No
think
Way
it's
Home had
interesting.
it.
I just think like with the state of Marvel right now, which this could all change, after Fantastic Four. Like it could be back, everybody could be fully bought back in. But I just think it's like Spider-Man, is going to be $1 billion movie, like no doubt about it. I think Avengers is pretty much a guaranteed. Doomsday is $1 billion movie too. But I feel like there's a little bit more of a question mark because it relies so much on a lot of other things. Whereas Spider-Man is just like it's Spider-Man. Like you're gonna go see it. So I just thought it'd be a really fun, way too early prediction.
I don't. I understand the reasoning. I think it's sound. I think it's good logic. I still think Doomsday outperforms. I think by that time, Doomsday will be must watch, and I think
Well,
it's going
and
to
Doomsday
outperform.
will have the added benefit of just coming off of Spider-Man, right? It'll probably Spider-Man, if anything, could pull a lot of people back to Doomsday if he's going to be in it and all that stuff. So I agree. I think Doomsday will have a bigger box office as well. But I just think I think it'll be pretty close. I think it'll be
That's
closer
funny.
than a lot of
Oh,
people might expect.
I think it'll definitely be close. I just think Doomsday edges out.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
But that's going to do it for this episode of the Weekly Fix, guys. It's so good to be back. I'm glad we got to talk about some of these coming up, and we have a ton to talk about in the future. Going to have a bunch of movies dropping, a bunch of movie reviews coming out, so I can't wait to speak on it. I know, Jacob, you're thrilled to be in summer movie season, and I'm so excited for what we have coming up in the few weeks, guys. If there's a movie that you're super excited about that we didn't touch on, or maybe that we bragged on, maybe you're a big Smurfs fan and we just trashed all over your movie, please let us know. I want to hear about it. I want to hear your reasoning. So hit us up on Instagram. Reach out to us on the Discord. All those links are down in the long description. Thank you guys so much for hanging with us. Sorry about the missing weeks, but I hope you can understand. If not, I'm sorry. Maybe get some compassion. I don't know.
Get some compassion. That's a T-shirt right there.
Get some compassion. But guys, you guys are great. Thank you so much, and we will catch you in the next episode of Weekly Fix.